Hello, welcome to Alfred Basic Adult Piano Course Lesson Book Level 1. This video is Lesson 5, and we're going to cover page 10 in our book, which is Left Hand C Position. Lesson 4 covered the right hand C position, which played starting with middle C, followed by D, E, F, and G. Now the left hand is actually going to play C, D, E, F, and G. But notice when I brought my left hand up to the piano, the fingering is sort of the opposite of the right hand. Well, not sort of, it is the opposite of the right hand. So what's going to happen is your C is going to be played with your pinky, your fifth finger. And you're actually going to play this C down here. So the right hand was here on middle C. The left hand pinky, the fifth finger, is going to go to the C on the keyboard below middle C, the next C down, which is down here. It's also 8 notes below middle C. If you start on middle C and count 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, there's the C that your left hand C position begins on. So approaching the keyboard with that curved hand, relaxed hand, curved fingers, I should say. Your fifth finger is going to go on C, just like in the diagram on page 10. Now it says let the remaining fingers fall naturally on the next 4 white keys. So again, if the pinky 5 is on C, 4 naturally will be on D, 3 will be on E, 2 will be on F, and your thumb will be on G. And this will be our signed fingering for the left hand C position. So 3 will always play E, 5 will always play C, 2 will always play F. A signed fingering. Now before we play, let's look at something called the bass staff. In our previous lesson, we learned that the right hand plays in the treble staff. The left hand plays on the bass staff. The bass staff also has 5 lines and 4 spaces, just like the treble staff. But the biggest difference is the clef sign. Here we have a bass clef sign. Kind of looks like a curly, what is that? Like a backwards C? I don't know, it's a curly. And there's 2 dots to the right of it. When you see this symbol, generally that means your left hand will be playing these notes. Now the notes on this staff look very different than the same 5 notes for the treble clef staff. Here, the C is that will be played with your fifth finger is written on the second space of the staff. Okay, so the second space is always this C. Now, make sure when you're reading notes, make sure it's bass clef. Because if you're reading treble clef, the second space on the staff is a very, very different note. So always pay attention to your clef signs. Now, the line right above that is a D. This D, specifically. Then the space above that is E. The line above that is F. And the space above that is G. So, notes on the staff, whether it's treble clef or bass clef, move from space to line, space to line. So now we're at our left hand warm-up. So we learned our 5 notes on the keyboard for our left hand C position. We're going to play the following warm-up. It says, say the name of each note aloud as you play. Repeat until you can play smoothly and evenly. So let's never forget this, smoothly and evenly from here on out. Always make that a rule, to play evenly. Generally, it means going slow at first. So I'm going to play the first line for you. I won't say anything. I'll just let you listen to it. So you'll notice we started with our thumb on G, and we worked our way backwards in a sense, going from G to F to E to D to C, going down the piano, playing those 5 notes in a row twice. Once I got down to C and back up to G, notice I did not take a break. I did not pause. I kept this pattern even. I'll play it one more time for you. One thing I said on the previous lesson about your right hand, I will also say about the left hand. Generally, the thumb, the second finger, and the third finger are stronger than our fourth and fifth finger. You might have to play them a little bit louder to make the even sound, specifically the even volume between all 5 keys. Now the second line kind of goes in the opposite direction. You're going to start with your 5th finger on C and play up the keyboard. C, D, E, F, G. You're going to play those 5 notes twice. And it goes like this. Again, maintaining that evenness as you play each note. Practice it a few times. Practice it slowly. When you get comfortable and you feel like you're in control, try to take it a little bit faster. But even when we play faster, notice I'm still even. Equal value for every note. And now that you've learned rhythms, you notice that these are all quarter notes. They all get 1 count each. So they should all be equal in value. The last line starts on thumb on the G, and it works our way down to C, which you play twice because you're rounding around and coming back up to the G. It goes like this. So as you get down there to the D and C, that's your 4th and 5th finger, and it kind of stays around there a little bit. If you feel like it's a little weak, those fingers aren't strong, go a little bit slower and focus on giving those a little more oomph as you play. Let me demonstrate for you. So I went a little bit slower, and I even slowed down just a tad on the D's and the C's, and I played a little bit louder just to get some extra strength out of those weaker fingers. So if you have to slow down a little bit to focus on getting a little bit more out of those fingers, that's okay. Just keep in mind that the end result you want to go for is the smooth evenness of that entire line. Some extra notes here at the bottom of the page. It says when notes are below the middle line of the staff, the stems usually point up. So what does that mean? Well, let's look at the very first line of the music. The very first line, we started with a G. Notice the stem. It's on the left side of the quarter note going down. That note is written above the middle line of the staff. The F is also written above the middle line, and the E as well. The D is written on the middle line. It's going down, but the C is written below that middle line. The stem is going up. So what does this mean for you? Well, it doesn't change anything when it comes to playing, but maybe if you're ever to write some music, compose some music in the future, you're going to want to make sure that you keep these stems going the right direction. And it really is organization. It just makes things look neater, look cleaner, and it's easier for another musician who might pick up maybe something you wrote. It might be easier for them to play it and to read it right on the spot. It also says here when notes are on or above the middle line, the stems usually point down. So again, that G, F, E, and D were above the middle line, or on the middle line. The D is on the middle line. They usually point down. And this is true also of the treble clef staff as well. You'll notice that anything below the middle line of the treble clef staff, the notes, the stems on the notes should be going up as well. Again, nothing that will affect how you play. It just makes note reading a little bit cleaner, a little bit easier. So spend some time practicing the left hand. Really get to know those 5 notes in the left hand, not only on the keyboard, of course, with your correct fingering, but also know how to read them on the staff as well. Typically, most people have a more challenging time learning the notes on the bass clef than the treble clef. I'm not sure why that is. I experienced that too as a beginner, but it's something that just is. So it certainly looks a little bit different than what we're used to reading on the treble clef staff. So get comfortable with your left hand, and when you feel comfortable with that, you'll be ready to proceed to the next lesson. I'll see you there.